because if we don't have a really good management in the feed, we don't get really good results in the sows and their offsprings. And if we want to warranty the enhance of piglet health and performance focus on commercial farm, we need to address the sound nutrition management.
Welcome to the Swine Nutrition Blackbelt Podcast, the latest swine nutrition research digested for you. I'm your host, Clayton Chastain, and today we have with us Aryeri Bardales, a master's student at South Dakota State University. So could you tell the audience a little bit about your background?
Hi, Clay. Thank you for inviting me to the podcast. I am from Honduras. I am a master's student here in South Dakota State University, focused on swine nutrition in piglet mortality and anemia in pigs and sows. And this is my second year at South Dakota, and I am happy to be here and talk about my research trials and all this stuff that I learned here.
Awesome. So yeah, talking about some of the research trials that you've run there, I saw a little bit about the one that you did with iron supplementation in newborn piglets. So I guess before we jump into the study in particular, could you give a little bit of background of kind of the importance of iron supplementation and what what impacts it has on post-weaning performance?
Okay, I did this trial in a commercial farm in Rolling Meadows, Michigan, and we tried to look the difference of supplementation, and because iron is a crucial for newborn piglets, due their in higher susceptibility to anemia at birth is really high, and as we know, is a prevalent piglets because sow milk contain a negligible amounts of iron. And this study let us know if the impact to one doses at birth versus one doses at 7 days, or an iron oral iron supplementation, and we try to look if the parity of the sow have an influence in the hemoglobin levels of the piglets, because in the commercial farm we work different, and for example in an experimental farm we have more controls of the iron doses or the management, but in a commercial farm that they work by batches is really different, and the piglet don't get the iron doses at the same day, so it's an important topic that we need to address.
So what were kind of some of the key findings that you saw in your study regarding the effectiveness of different iron supplementation strategies on things like piglet hemoglobin levels when looking at various stages such as birth, pre-weaning, and weaning?
Well, in this study is really curious for me because we found a different result than the other research did, and we don't want to say that my research is good or is bad. It's just try to show the result that we found is at different conditions, different farms, and So the first thing that we found was the piglet hemoglobin at birth did not differ between treatments, but a higher proportion of the piglets born from older parity sows were anemic at birth compared to the piglets from young sows. And before the additional iron supplementation, we saw that the control piglets had a lower hemoglobin levels compared to the piglets that had the supplementation iron. And at weaning, we noticed that there were no difference in piglet hemoglobin levels between treatment groups. But the thing is that these treatment groups include a kind of superdosing, because we already know that the 200 milligrams is not enough to meet the requirement of iron for piglets. So we try to increase the doses and see if we try to understand or look at difference on that. However, a higher percentage of piglets within a litter were deemed anemic at weaning from parity, all compared to the parity. So the problem is most about the parity, not regardless the treatment.
Gotcha. And then kind of taking a little bit of a different step. So now looking instead of the piglet side, but more so the sow side, did you guys see any effect with the sow's hemoglobin status and the influence of the anemia rate among piglets? And if so, does that change kind of some implications that it might have on the management of sow diets and iron intake?
Yes, well, the sows, it is true, influence the hemoglobin levels in the piglets, and this suggests that sow iron intake may influence and the piglet anemia rate, and we try to address according to the parity, because I noticed that is a lot of trials that try to give in the diet more iron, but don't have a good result. So I am saying in the last question is a lack on the research about the iron intake in the sows according to the parity, because it's not the same. The according to the sows is growing and across to multiple reproductive cycle, the nutrients absorption change, the less capacity for the absorption change too, and the health status influence. It's a combination of different parameters that influence the iron intake of the cells that we need to take care about it.
Gotcha. And then now looking at some of the growth performance aspect, did you guys notice any sort of differences between growth performance of the piglets when looking at the different iron supplementation levels?
No, we don't see any significant difference in the growth performance regardless the treatment. And that indicates that while iron supplementation might not have a significant impact just in the hemoglobin levels, but any interaction with the growth performance of the weights in the piglets. Maybe in other research we can find a different result, but we try to look what they evaluate and what was the condition about the trial. Yeah, other factor beside the iron supplementation may have a greater influence on piglet growth than the supplementation.
And so you said earlier that your research kind of provided some different results compared to similar trials like this one. But what insights would you say does this research provide regarding some of the optimal iron supplementation strategies for improving piglet health and performance? Did you look at both then oral and injectable supplementation as well? And if so, with from this study, do you have any sort of recommendations or suggested strategies for those methods?
Well, however, considering the prevalence of anemia in piglets, Albert and Adwenin, continued research may have to evaluate the iron supplementation strategies um, between days. If we see any significant difference, if we give an iron doses at day 3 or day 7 and all this stuff, because I already did by batches, but I try to analyze too, and I don't already finish. Is a study that I continue work on that, and the most important is the sound nutrition management, because if we don't have a really good management in the feed, we don't get a really good results in the sows and their offerings. And if we want to warrant in the enhance of piglet health and performance, focus on commercial farm, we need to address the sound nutrition management.
A leader in swine nutrition solutions driven by science. Novus's products and services look at the whole animal, focusing on productivity and well-being, in order to feed the world affordable and wholesome food. For more information, visit Novus's website at www.novusint.com.
So the final question I have for you is, what do you think are some of the next steps in this line of research that need to be done? Is your lab planning to do any of those? And if not, do you think kind of that sow side, looking at the iron intake, is more important, or just looking at different supplementation levels and supplementation methods for the piglets?
All right. As we noticed in this trial, we saw different things that my trial in the diet, they had 5 days inclusion, and maybe it's a good to look diet with 5 days and without 5 days and see if are any interaction in the sow hemoglobin and their offsprings. And I think that another thing that we need to look is the days of the first iron doses across the parities and the piglets.
Well, thank you, Aryeri, for coming on the show and sharing all this with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yep, and everyone else, thank you for listening to the Swine Nutrition Blackbelt Podcast. Please visit us at swinenutritionblackbelt.com, and don't forget to subscribe to our podcast channel so you won't miss out on the next episode. See you next week.
Hey everyone, we're always searching for the latest and greatest research to share each week. If you have a swine nutrition related research trial and would like to come on the show and share it with us, feel free to email the details about your research to hello@wisenetics.com.